The yogi's mind dies, being constantly fixed on his own self. Thence follows the cessation of desires. Therefore, do away with thy superimposition. Tamas is destroyed by both sattva and rajas, rajas by sattva, and sattva dies when purified. Therefore, do away with thy superimposition through the help of sattva. Knowing for certain that the prarabdha work will maintain this body, remain quiet and do away with thy superimposition carefully and with patience. I am not the individual soul, but the supreme Brahman. Eliminating thus all that is not self, do away with thy superimposition, which has come through the momentum of past impressions. Realizing thyself as the self of all by means of scripture, reasoning, and by thy own realization, do away thy superimposition, even when a trace of it seems to appear. The sage has no connection with action, since he has no idea of accepting or giving up. Therefore, through constant engrossment on the Brahman, do away with thy superimposition. Through the realization of the identity of Brahman and the soul, resulting from such great dicta as thou art that, do away with thy superimposition, with a view to strengthening thy identification with Brahman. Until the identification with this body is completely rooted out, do away with thy superimposition with watchfulness and a concentrated mind. So long as even a dream-like perception of the universe and souls persists, do away with thy superimposition, O learned man, without the least break. Without giving the slightest chance to oblivion on account of sleep, concern in secular matters or the sense objects, reflect on the self in thy mind. Shunning from a safe distance the body which has come from impurities of the parents and itself consists of flesh and impurities, as one does an outcast, be thou Brahman and realize the consummation of thy life. Merging the finite soul in the Supreme Self, like the space enclosed by a jar in the infinite space, by means of meditation on their identity, always keep quiet, O sage. Becoming thyself the self-effulgent Brahman, the substratum of all phenomena, as that reality, give up both the macrocosm and the microcosm like two filthy receptacles. Transferring the identification now rooted in the body to the Atma, the existence, knowledge, bliss absolute, and discarding the subtle body, be thou ever alone, independent, that in which there is this reflection of the universe as of a city in a mirror. That Brahman art thou. Knowing this, thou will attain the consummation of thy life, that which is real and one's own primeval essence, that knowledge and bliss absolute, the one without a second, which is beyond form and activity. Attaining that, one should cease to identify oneself with one's false bodies, like an actor giving up his assumed mask. This objective universe is absolutely unreal. Neither is egoism a reality, for it is observed to be momentary. How can the perception I know all be true of egoism, etc., which are momentary? But the real I is that which witnesses the ego and the rest. It exists always, even in the state of profound sleep. The Shruti itself says it is birthless, eternal, etc. Therefore, the Paramatma is different from the gross and subtle bodies. The knower of all changes in things subject to change should necessarily be eternal and changeless. The unreality of the gross and subtle bodies is again and again clearly observed in imagination, dream, and profound sleep. Therefore, give up the identification with this lump of flesh, the gross body, as well as with the ego or the subtle body, which are both imagined by the buddhi. Realizing thy own self, which is knowledge absolute and not to be denied in the past, present, or future, attain to peace. Cease to identify thyself with the family, lineage, name, form, and the order of life, which pertain to the body that is like a rotten corpse to a man of realization. Similarly, giving up ideas of agency and so forth, which are attributes of the subtle body, be the essence of bliss absolute. Other obstacles are also observed to exist for man, which lead to transmigration. The root of them, for the above reasons, is the first modification of nescience called egoism. So long as one has any relation to the wicked ego, there should not be the least talk about liberation, which is unique. Freed from the clutches of egoism as the moon from those of Rahu, man attains to his real nature and becomes pure, infinite, ever blissful and self-luminous. That which has been created by the buddhi, extremely diluted by nescience, and which is perceived in this body as I am such and such, when that egoism is totally destroyed, one attains an unobstructed identity with Brahman. The treasure of the bliss of Brahman is coiled round by the mighty and dreadful serpent of egoism, and guarded for its own use by means of its three fierce hoods consisting of the three gunas. Only the wise man, destroying it by severing its three hoods with the great sword of realization, in accordance with the teachings of the Shrutis, can enjoy this treasure which confers bliss. As long as there is a trace of poisoning left in the body, how can one hope for recovery? Similar is the effect of egoism on the yogi's liberation. Through the complete cessation of egoism, through the stoppage of the diverse mental waves due to it, and through the discrimination of the inner reality, one realizes that reality as I am this. Give up immediately thy identification with egoism, the agent, which is by its nature a modification, is endued with the reflection of the self, and diverts one from being established in the self, identifying thyself with which thou hast come by this relative existence, full of the miseries of birth, death, decay, though thou art the witness, the essence of knowledge and bliss absolute. But for thy identification with that egoism, there can never be any transmigration for thee, who art immutable and eternally the same, the knowledge absolute, omnipresent, the bliss absolute, and of untarnished glory. Therefore, destroying this egoism, thy enemy, which appears like a thorn sticking in the throat of a man taking meal, with the great sword of realization, enjoy directly and freely the bliss of thy own empire, the majesty of the Atma. Taking the activities of egoism, etc., and giving up all attachment through the realization of the supreme reality, be free from all duality through the enjoyment of the bliss of self, and remain quiet in Brahman, for thou hast attained thy infinite nature. Even though completely rooted out, this terrible egoism, if revolved in the mind even for a moment, returns to life and creates hundreds of mischiefs like a cloud ushered in by the wind during the rainy season. Overpowering this enemy, egoism, not a moment's respite should be given to it by thinking on the sense objects. That is verily the cause of its coming back to life, like water to a citron tree that has almost dried up. He alone who has identified himself with the body is greedy after sense pleasures. How can one devoid of the body idea be greedy like him? Hence the tendency to think on the sense objects is verily the cause of the bondage of transmigration, giving rise to an idea of distinction or duality. When the effects are developed, the seed also is observed to be such, and when the effects are destroyed, the seed also is seen to be destroyed. Therefore, one must subdue the effects. Through the increase of desire, selfish work increases, and when there is an increase of selfish work, there is an increase of desire also, and man's transmigration is never at an end. For the sake of breaking the chain of transmigration, the sannyasin should burn to ashes those two, for thinking of the sense objects and doing selfish acts lead to an increase of desires. Augmented by these two, desires produce one's transmigration. The way to destroy these three, however, lies in looking upon everything, under all circumstances, always, everywhere, and in all respects as Brahman, and Brahman alone. Through the strengthening of the longing to be one with Brahman, those three are annihilated. With the cessation of selfish action, the brooding on the sense objects is stopped, which is followed by the destruction of desires. The destruction of desires is liberation, and this is considered as liberation in life. When the desire for realizing Brahman has a marked manifestation, the egoistic desires readily vanish as the most intense darkness effectively vanishes before the glow of the rising sun. Darkness and the numerous evils that attend on it are not noticed when the sun rises. Similarly, on the realization of the bliss absolute, there is neither bondage nor the least trace of misery, causing the external and internal universe which are now perceived to vanish, and meditating on the reality, the bliss embodied, one should pass one's time watchfully. if there be any residue of prarabdha work left. One should never be careless in one's steadfastness to Brahman. Bhagwan Sanat Kumar, who is Brahma's son, has called inadvertence to be death itself. There is no greater danger for the Jnani than carelessness about his own real nature. From this comes delusion, thence egoism. This is followed by bondage, and then comes misery.